course, wanted to do this presentation in person, but this is the next best thing, and we're just gonna make do with what we have. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this comes across as making sense, and I'm gonna keep it very basic and just basically give you a little bit of a presentation on my advice for general nutrition for runners. Um, about me, who am I? I'm Julie. I am a holistic performance nutrition coach. And so I work with athletes of all types, mostly runners, triathletes, and long distance hikers, on working with their nutrition game plan, kind of what everyday nutrition looks like, recovery, performance, trying to get them to increase energy, manage their blood sugar, um, kind of coach them through how to experiment with what they should be eating during their race and during their event and what they should probably maybe avoid. And so it's all personalized. So today's presentation is going to be foundational stuff that works for a lot of people, but it may not work for you. It may not work for me. So that's why I work one-on-one with people, an hour and a half, really get to know them, really get to know you, and what your goals are, and where you've been, and what's worked for you and what hasn't. So my job, basically in a nutshell, is getting my clients from where they are now to where they want to be through empowered choices: nutrition, lifestyle, exercise, stress management, sleep. Um, I see it all. So I just try to come up with strategies and habits that will help you optimize your life and get you from point A to point B and keep it sustainable and keep it consistent. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So this is, like I said, general nutrition for runners. And so let's start with what your everyday is going to look like. And I have some notes up here. So if you see my eyes wandering, it's just because I don't want to miss a point. So let's pretend we're not in a pandemic and food is accessible and grocery store trips are routine. So let's just kind of pretend. If you need more guidance for where we are now, feel free to book a consult with me or email me and we could work through that. But once this is temporary, so once this is over and we're getting back into normal ways, I'd love your shopping cart to be filled with nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory foods. So, first on my list is, if you're an omnivore, animal proteins. They're loaded with good healthy fats, a ton of bioavailable protein, which just basically means your body soaks it up and puts it to good use and breaks it down easily. We need protein to repair. We need protein for performance, for energy, to keep our blood sugar balanced. So focusing on that at every meal is really, really critical. As we are running and breaking down our tissues, we need to build them back up. So having a variety of proteins in your cart. So we have red meat is probably the best. You have Oxbow and Mannix here in town, who have grass finished beef, just loaded with tons of vitamins and minerals that your body needs. Great source of protein. Organic chicken, good local eggs, tempeh. If you're a vegan or vegetarian, I would say tempeh is probably your best source of protein that you could have. Any sort of pork and wild fish. Wild fish is just insanely good for you. So look for Alaskan salmon, Kansas sardines, just incredible, loaded with nutrients, loaded with protein. Other than that, you want some good healthy fats. So we have avocados, olives, olive oil, coconut products, grass-fed butter, ghee, nuts and seeds, and yeah, those are pretty much the big ones there. And then carbohydrates. So what you really want is just a ton of colors. So as many colors as you can. You want beets and sweet potatoes and yams and purple potatoes and all sorts of colors of vegetables, because that way you're going to try to avoid any deficiencies that you have, because you're working your body a lot and you want to make sure you're getting in a good variety in your diet. So that's what kind of your everyday life should be looking like. And definitely, as you're training more and more and more, you're going to need more fuel to put in the tank. So um, that's just an overview of kind of what your grocery cart would look like if you're doing a good whole food, nutrient dense approach. And basically, if you get anything away from this, it's you want to eat as many foods closest to their natural state as you can. Things with a lifespan, things without a label. And cooking as much as you can at home, making your own things, is the best way to go for your health and for your performance. I also wanted to talk about training nutrition. A lot of people want to know, what do they eat beforehand? What do they eat after? So beforehand, I would say, number one, I really don't recommend fasted workouts, especially for women. And I won't go into detail why. It's just very stressful on your body. So I want you to fuel properly for your workout that you're going to be doing. So kind of like a quick carb, so like maybe a banana with a little bit of fat on it, a little bit of peanut butter, almond butter would be great. Super quick. You can make some overnight oats with a little chia, nut butter, cinnamon. If you have a favorite bar, obviously I love the ones that are more real food based. Have a couple bites of that and just make sure you let your body know that there is fuel, and that will really help you not only have more energy for your run, but also recover quicker afterwards. So those are a few ideas. You can make a smoothie the night before. You can make some overnight oats the night before, so you could just take a spoon to it quickly in the morning if you're waking up. A lot of people go running at like 4 a.m. I don't get it, but I mean that you do you. That's great. But that way you have something in your body to help fuel that workout. And then, afterwards, you definitely want to have a good meal. You want to give yourself time to make some eggs, some avocado, some potatoes, slice of toast with butter or avocado or eggs, big smoothie, chicken sausage, tempeh stir fry, all these kind of whole foods with a bunch of different colors. And you really want to get that in, I would say within an hour. But if you really overdid it and you just do not have an appetite, you really maybe just have a bite of something and then wait until your appetite comes back to eat, because then your digestion might not be too optimal, and you might get an even bigger stomach ache. So listen to your body the best you can. And if you're really ravenous after a run, then maybe you're not fueling as much as you should be beforehand. So that's a signal that there needs to be changes made beforehand or the night before. What else do I have here? Okay. And then I just kind of want to summarize what are some good ideas and what are some not so great ideas to do with running nutrition. So some great ideas will include a good whole food approach, prioritizing meal prep. That's really important, because if you're working full time and you're training for a marathon, you're going to want to just get a pastry for every meal. It's quick, it's easy. You're going to want to get pizza, you're going to want to get beer, and it's just, you're going to want to reach for the quickest source of energy. And usually that source of energy is delicious and emotionally satisfying, but there's no nutrients. And we need nutrients to regulate all the processes in our body, to reduce inflammation, to help our metabolism, to help us repair everything. So I'm a big fan of nutrients, and I'm a big fan of nutrient-dense foods and a whole food diet, right? So meal prepping, super important. Other good ideas, variety in your proteins and your vegetables. A lot of good complex carbohydrates for recovery and fueling. Well, more simple carbohydrates for fueling right beforehand. You don't want anything with too much fiber or fat beforehand. They're slow to digest. And of course, experiment during training, not during your race. So now is the time to kind of play around with some with some different options. Try something new. And that will really pay off big time when race day comes. Things that you might not want to do during this training cycle, and especially before the marathon, would be eating something brand new the week of your race, eating something brand new the morning of your race, eating sushi from a grocery store the night before your race. Not a good idea. Eating a ton of inflammatory foods. So that is pretty much the runner's diet. I did it for a long time. It was a lot of white pasta, white bread, white rice, beer, pizza, pastries, you name it, chips, processed food, candy. It's these quick sources of energy that we crave. And also it's salty and it's sweet, and both things is what we want. And it's all delicious, and they have a time and place. I'm not taking away anything from you. But if you find yourself eating a lot of those foods most nights of the week or for lunch, I definitely want you to consider taking one night and to swap it out for a good quality protein with a ton of vegetables and a baked potato. Just one swap at a time. Nothing crazy. But you definitely want more anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense foods rather than foods that are causing a bunch of inflammation, because you want your circulation to be good, your digestion to be good, and you want to repair the muscles that you're breaking down during these really long runs. So you just really want to support your body the best way you can. And to do that, you need to eat these whole foods. Ideally prepped at home if you can, or meal service, or better options for takeout. And you know what I mean by that. And let's see. Oh, lastly, probably caffeine. I see a lot of runners just chugging coffee and then all day, maybe some soda in the afternoon, and then some alcohol at night. And it's just this constant stimulation that is really doing a number on your stress levels and inflammation and blood sugar. And it makes the blood sugar kind of go like this or like this throughout the day. If you're like this throughout the day, your energy levels, you definitely need to revamp your diet and get some personalized advice, because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. You should wake up and your energy should start to increase. And then usually in the late afternoon, it'll start to decrease, and evening decrease, and that gets you ready for bed. It should not be like zoop, 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 zoop. So that is going to come with making sure you have good sources of protein and fats and vegetables for fiber. And then the good, slower carbohydrates, like the potatoes and the squash, and things that take a little longer to digest, instead of the bagel, which just spikes your blood sugar, and then you go, and then you're starving in an hour. I mean, if you're starving 2 hours after eating a meal, then you really need to reassess your diet, because that shouldn't happen, and that's not good for metabolic or recovery or anything like that. So if you want good energy throughout the day, there are ways to do that nutritionally, and it doesn't take much. It's not a huge overhaul of your diet. It's just small little things that make a huge difference. So I won't talk during the run nutrition right now. I could do another video of that if you'd like down the line as we get closer to race day. Or you could get a hold of me, you could email me, and we could set something up to talk more about your goals and your needs and kind of where you've been and where you'd like to go. So, yeah, I think that's all I have for today. Checking. Yeah, that's it. All right. I hope everybody has a good weekend, and I hope everybody's well. I have to say, this community is really coming together, and it's definitely a bright spot. So thank you to everybody for contributing to just being really good Missoulians, because it's showing. I've never been more proud to live here. So please get a hold of me if you need anything else, and hopefully I meet you in person pretty soon, out on the roads, out on the trails, or for a talk in person. Who knows, maybe maybe in May we could do something like that. All right, take care, everybody.